Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and today we're going to be doing a round 2 team of the week of Super Rugby Unlocked. Another fantastic weekend. Cheetahs laying down the benchmark. They are the team to beat. A team with so much to prove, and I tell you what, aren't they proving the doubters wrong? Aren't they, really sticking it to SA Rugby, who have excluded them from the Pro 16? And now they are, of course, saying that, maybe we should have been using the Super Rugby Unlocked and Currie Cup as qualification for the Pro 16 because the Cheetahs are playing so well. And I can understand the frustrations, but also you got to look at sort of it's so much more than just the best four teams. You got to look at the franchise value, the performances over the past few years. Just because one team has a fantastic season, doesn't mean they necessarily will be able to kick on from that. So a lot of different factors, but at the end of the day, Cheetahs are the team to beat at the moment. Lions, 2 losses from 2 games. They really need to sort themselves out. Stormers 1 from 1. And Bulls as well, really struggling after all the signings, after the whole Jake White thing, a whole revolution back at the Pretoria side, and they just haven't really started particularly well. So before we get into the actual team of the week, please do consider subscribing. Bottom right-hand corner, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on so that you don't miss a moment. We are trying to hit 200 subscribers before the end of the month, and we'd really appreciate your support. Also, make sure you smash the like, share it with your friends as well. So, at the end of the day, this is sort of just my opinion on players who I think stood out for me whilst over the weekend. Please up in the comments, let me know what you think. Obviously, this is my opinion, and you'll have your own. There will be differing opinions. Obviously, we all have a little bit of a bias depending on which team we support and stuff like that. So, there will always be contradicting opinion, which is what is so nice as a sports fan. At the end of the day, as long as we can sit down and sort of measurably talk about this, and argue for and against, that's where the enjoyment really comes as a sports fan. It's being able to just chat about these sort of issues. So please do jump in the comments and let me know what you think of my selections and what you would change. So here we go. This is my team of the week, and I want to talk about the number one on the list. When Bism Tawarira left, retired, hang up the boots, head over to the States, we all sort of sit there going, jeepers, that's one of the best Springboks of all time, really. We're talking about somebody who was always there for the box, probably our best loose head prop, we've ever produced, and there have been some blooming good ones. But and the biggest thing was, well, how do you replace that? How do you follow somebody up who was just so reliable, so good all the time? And the answer is Stephen Kitshoff, because there are a lot of good props coming through the country at the moment. But I tell you what, he just doesn't do anything wrong at the moment. Didn't miss a single tackle on Saturday. It was very good scrum time. The scrums were very even in the first half, but second half the Stormers really started to dominate, and some key penalties, one especially towards the last stages of the game. And he's just very solid. He's becoming better in the open play. But I tell you what, set pieces, he's just Mr. Consistency. He doesn't make mistakes. So it might not be as flashy as somebody like an Oxen Chair, who thrives in the loose and loves a bit of space and loves to run, and loves that part of the game. But he's just exactly what you're going to get out of him every single week, and that is a solid 8, 9, 10 out of 10 every week. It's very rare that Kitshoff has a bad game these days, and that's exactly what you need from a prop, just to sort of anchor the entire team. Number 2, Renate Fenton, and I think this was sort of representative of the Cheetahs pack, really, because you look at the Bulls pack, and the Bulls will always have a big pack, and nothing's going to change under Jake White. He's somebody that loves set pieces. He loves big plays. He loves to sort of dominate and target, scrums and lineouts, and really sort of take advantage of as much set pieces, as much of the tight game as possible. But the Cheetahs pack really did stand up, and that's why we got an all Cheetahs loose forward trio. So yeah, but I think Renate Fenton was just a standout hooker. Bongi and Bonambi had a bit of a quiet game. Yakovasaki as well. But Renate Fenton for me was very good. Carly Sardi is there, and he gets ahead of Learn to Brain for me, just because when you think of how good Stephen Kitshoff is, what we are seeing Carly Sardi and the way he managed to hold Kitshoff so much in the first half. I mean, I haven't seen such an even scrum battle in a while. That first half, there was just not an inch given either way. And credit has to go to Carly Sardi, because obviously being at the tight head, it's such a difficult position, arguably the most difficult position on the field. And he really did handle Stephen Kitshoff very well. And I think he's definitely a player for the future. And I think he's somebody that the Lions did very well to get away from Stormers. You can understand why Stormers let go of him, because they had so many tight heads. But he's so good come scrum time. And if he can, he needs to do a lot more in the loose, I think, if he wants to sort of make that step up. But he really is putting his hand up at the moment. Locks, the 2 locks that were against each other, Salman Murat and Marvin Uri. Murat was very good in the lineouts. And he's just a bit of a workhorse. Same with Marvin Ori, really, just doing the hard yards, which is exactly what you want to see as a lock. And I think Salman Murat could be a potential Springbok captain in the future. He's got that sort of quality about him, and he's a very good player. Saw a couple of lineouts, looked very, very good. Marvin Ori did the hard yards, nothing flash about him, but there isn't anything flash about him. And the nice thing is, somebody who struggles with discipline, sort of kept his head a bit better. But 10 tackles, he was the top tackler for the Lions. Worked very hard, and he's playing some good rugby at the moment, which is good to see. The loose trio, and I'm sorry, you can't not give the entire Cheetahs loose trio. They were just brilliant. Marco van Staden had a decent game. Creel wasn't bad for the Lions, but the Cheetahs loose trio, they were just absolutely everywhere. And for me, Andisa and Sile, who I really enjoyed watching at the Kings, have stepped up. He was everywhere on Friday. Yes, sometimes I think he conceded like 2 penalties, but he won some really important clashes, and he brings so much energy. He's a high energy player. He's a hard worker. He loves the fight. He loves the competition. You can see how much he relishes it. Junior Pokamela as well. Very physical, making a step up. I tipped him as one of the juniors to watch in earlier this season, and he is. He did stand up on Friday, and along with Jasper Visa, who was very good on the attack, struggled a bit on the defense, but was very good on the attack. Beat a couple of players, was very physical. Yeah, the loose trio played really well, because at the end of the day, when you're playing against Marco van Staden, Arno Botha, and Dwayne Vermeulen, it's a Springbok capped loose trio. And the Cheetahs just stood up to him and said, you know what, we actually don't care. We don't care that you're the Springbok cap for this. We don't care that you guys expect to win. We don't care that we're the underdogs. We're going to take the fight to you, and they did, and it worked out for them. So a very solid scrum there, I think. Number 9 is Renate Fenton for me, and I'll tell you what a revelation he's been for the Lions. Dylan Smith went off early last week with a season-ending injury on his shoulder, and Vandenberg came in. And not a lot of people really knew about him. But if you ever wanted to see somebody who looks exactly like a fat de Klerk reincarnated, maybe not without the hair, but he's just everywhere at the moment. He's a live wire, and his distribution was good, and he was everywhere. He tackled very well, and you can't really fault his performance. And time will tell whether he can bring this consistency to this game and keep doing this week in, week out. But he's just the latest in a whole new breed of scrum half. We've seen Hershey Yankees, and we've seen Nele Nohamba come through, and a very exciting type of scrum halves that are coming through. Just lots of energy. Very quick ball, very quick in and around the field, and he's starting to establish a very good relation with Alton Yankees, who was a difficult pick. Eddie Forshire was very good this weekend, as was Tian Skuman, but Alton Yankees is just playing with such a maturity at the moment, and I think something that summed up the confidence he's playing with is that he will always be that. He always plays on the edge. There is always that. You have to come to terms with that, and I think if you don't, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. He is a player that plays on the edge. He will always throw a 50-50 pass. He will always, have scope for something to go wrong. That's the type of player he is. It comes with being that sort of player. Same thing with Damien McKenzie. The same thing, even something like a Cheslin Colby, players that play on the edge, players that like to be enterprising. You'll see the same thing with Warwick Lunt. There is always that possibility that it can go wrong. But for me, I'd far rather that players try and express themselves and do like that than just play a very in their shells, sort of solid within themselves type of game. And I just think he's playing with such a confidence at the moment. And what summed it up was when the Lions almost scored at the end of the game. It was literally, the game was sort of everywhere. It was in tatters, and he picked it up, looked across, one cross kick. Hachiba Diamani ran down the flank, cycled again, another cross kick, just as accurate, and Lions almost got over because of it. And he's kicking well at the moment. He's leading the team well, and I think he came under a lot of unfair scrutiny for the Sharks game. And it was 2 decisions. Everybody said they should have taken the points where they went for the line and they missed, and everybody said that he should have been blamed because he missed that penalty, which is fair. He did miss the penalty. But I think it's difficult to blame him on the defeats on him when at the end of the day, it's just key moments where we're losing the match, where Lions are losing the matches. You think of that Jack Creel penalty straight after the restart. Those just the important moments and the reason why Lions have struggled. Moving on to the backline, Roscoe Speckman looks at his best at the Cheetahs. Looked really good when he first started the Bulls, and then kind of was shipped off, and he's now playing some very nice rugby. And we don't know if he'll ever be able to step up and become a genuine 15s contender for the Springboks, but I tell you what, few players are more devastating with some space than Roscoe Speckman. And I mean, I personally think I think he should go back to the sevens and become the best sevens player in the world, because he could be. He's been rated the best sevens player in the world before. But I tell you, if you can give him some space and stuff like that, and on the counter attack, he is lethal. France Day, Mr. Consistency in the midfield, big presence, lots of leadership. Makes all the hard yards. And these days, I mean, it's a very different France Day than what we saw 13 years ago in the World Cup. We're seeing a very mature player, he's still got his characteristically very big boot, but yeah, he's just so solid at the moment and brings so much solidity and composure to that Cheetahs midfield, doing really good stuff. Berg finally I think he had a point to prove this season, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays when he plays against the Bulls, because he's got so much to prove, so unhappy with the way Bulls treats him, and he was everywhere for the Lions. Just really some really good breaks, worked very, very hard, and I think that personally, I think if the Lions bring in one to see the similarity, they've got their perfect sort of 10, 12, 13 in there. But Undal worked very, very hard and looked very good. Neil Moritz outplayed all the other wings this weekend. Was topped all the running meters, got himself a try, was very important to Pumas. And it's nice to see players, especially this sort of competition. This is the time for players within the Greekers, within the Pumas, even within the Cheetahs to a certain extent, to really sort of put their hands up and sort of say, listen, we might not be at the top franchises, but we're here, and it's a nice chance to see what else we have to offer in this country. And that's why it's so sad that something like the EP Kings can't be involved, because there are lots of good rugby players that we are not seeing. But Neil Moritz looked very good for the Pumas. And then finally, to round off the team, Clayton Blommetjies is back and playing his best rugby for Cheetahs. He went to Scarlets and it didn't really work out for him, but he is now playing some very, very good rugby. And on the counter-attacking rugby, he's one of the best. His meters gained are fantastic. He always beat a defender or two. His defense has become a lot better, and he's just playing some very good rugby. I mean, I think an honorary mention to Devin Williams from the Pumas, scored a very nice try. But yeah, for me, Clayton Blommetjies was the standout number 15, and yeah, that's the team. So as I said, jump in the comments, let me know what you think. We're going to try and do this every single week, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to try and make this a bit more interactive, get people to vote, and that kind of thing. So lots of those sort of plans in the works as well. As always, please consider subscribing, bottom right hand corner. I really do appreciate the support. Looking forward to some more rugby this weekend. We're going to be doing a 5 things we learned video as well, sort of some couple of players that we want to pick out from what we've seen in the past 2 weeks. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the week. As always, I will see you very soon.